It's been a rough week for the city of Chicago. And the one place that should recognize it is your church. Let's go. Hey everybody, it's Old School Heart, aka Tiffany, if you are watching this on Facebook. This is episode 6 of Sitting in Yo Pew, a church review. I want to say thank you to everybody that took time out to watch episode 5, where I went to Family Christian Center in Munster, Indiana, where the pastors are none other than Steve and Melody Muncie. Now guys, I am super excited to share this review with you guys. I will have to admit that out of the 6 churches that I've been to thus far, this one is my favorite. Like, this one holds a special part in my heart. And after God has completed these reviews, it may be a contender, a serious contender of being the church that I choose to make my home. If Chicago will be my home. I don't even know if God's going to do that part, but if Chicago is still my home, this is a serious contender. Now, I will say this. Every church that I've been to has had something unique, has had something special, has filled my spirit for the week, has rejuvenated my spirit for the week, has given me great worship and a great message. It was just something about this church in particular that brought out something else that I needed. And this is just my opinion, guys. I'm sure that all of you guys who go to the other 5 churches that I've been to have marvelous things to say about your church. But for me, this 6th church was very special. Now, the church that I went to was New Beginnings of Chicago, aka NBC. If you're from Chicago, we all know that's a play on NBC 5, our news station here. And so, yes, I went to New Beginnings Church of Chicago, where the pastor is none other than Corey Brooks. Now, why is Corey included, and why is New Beginnings Church included in this series? Well, number one, I've had like 85 people tell me I need to go to this church. And also, I even had somebody inbox me on YouTube and tell me, you have to go to NBC and tell me how it is. I've heard a lot of stuff about it, but I want you to go personally and tell me how it is. Now, I didn't tell that person I was going, and I actually had a different church for this week, but I said, I need to go to this church. I have no idea why I switched my schedule. Must be God, but I did do it, and I am so glad that I did. So very glad that I did. Now, a lot of people know Corey Brooks because he's been a little bit on the political side. He aligned himself with our governor, who is Bruce Rauner. And we're not too fond of Bruce at this moment. We weren't fond, black people at least weren't fond of Bruce anyway. We just did not want him to be our governor. Unfortunately, he was able to be elected. And Rauner is like a mini Donald Trump. He's very rich, and really doesn't understand politics like Donald Trump. And so when he aligned himself, a lot of people felt a little way about Corey Brooks and his alignment. But nonetheless, Corey has been able to weather the storm and continue to bring a great community together in worship. So yes, so this church is located at 6620 South King Drive in Chicago, Illinois. I did tell you I was getting off the south side, but like I said, this church was calling me in so many ways, and I'm so excited that I went. Now, if you have never watched an episode of Sitting in Your Pew, there are 4 things in particular that I look at in order to review these churches, and I will list them here for you. Now, number 1 is the welcome. When I got to the church, I was slightly late because traffic was really slow. Like always, I need to learn my lesson and actually just get up ahead of time. but I did not. But nonetheless, it was easy to get into the service. There was a guy at the door welcoming you and just saying thank you for coming to NBC. There was a lady who was giving their envelopes and things, and hugging you as you came in the door. So I felt very, very, very welcomed. One of the things that annoy me about a lot of churches is ushers. No offense against ushers at all, but if I say that I want to sit somewhere, that is where I want to sit. Now, if you tell me that that seat is not open, then let me decide the next place that I want to sit. Other than that, I was very, very welcome when I came through the door. But like I said, I'm not a big fan of old school ushers at all. Not to say that they're old school, where they're sitting there like army people waiting for you to do something that is different than what you should be doing at church. I'm just saying that as far as seating goes, I kind of like to pick where I like to sit because I'm an introvert, and then I like to feel where I'm at. So sorry, that's my own particular issue, but I just wanted to get that out there. On to part 2, where we discuss the worship. Guys, the worship here was amazing. Amazing. Unlike any worship experience I have had in quite a while. No diss to the other churches. They had great singers, great musicians at all 5 of the other churches. But this church in particular has something quite different than I've ever experienced before, at least here in Chicago. And what I mean by that is, it's great to have worship singers that sing very, very well. It's great to have musicians that play very, very well. It's great to have people as background singers that can flow through different notes and can listen very well to the worship leader and follow along. That's great. But the one thing that I loved about this worship in particular was not only are they gifted with their voices and with their instruments, but they know their word. It's very, very important that we don't just have people that just sing, but people that minister to you during worship. And when I say minister to you, I mean they use the word to do that. And the worship leaders in this particular church, I can tell that they know their word. And it's because I know mine, and I try to know mine, and I try to read my word. But they were spitting Bible verses. Something very, very special about a worship team that spits Bible verses accurately. So worship for me was amazing. Worship for me was the best. I actually cried off my makeup. and let me just say this. I don't like to cry that much, especially when I have put on all my makeup. But for this particular service, I was A-okay with it because the scriptures that she was pouring out, the things that she was saying, just touched my heart and my soul and helped me to get to a place where the room became very dark. And I became one with God and was able to talk to him and hear him talk to me back. That's a worship service. That is a worship service. That is what I look for. It's hard to express how good that was. It was just, now guys, before I get to their actual message, I will say that what's a little bit different about their worship is that you have people that are able to sit in their seats and they worship or stand up in their seats, but they also leave a little bit of room in between where the pastor speaks and where the worship leaders sing for people just to stand in front to worship and engage in worship with the worship team and to lift their hands and worship. And I found that really different, but I found that really cool. It was kind of like when you go to a concert and people like rush up to the stage to see the singer a little bit more or to be a part of the crowd. So that's how it was there. And what I loved about it is that not only was there young people in worship and jumping and screaming and clapping their hands, but also the older people were up there right with them, giving them the same go. And I just love that. Now, as far as the message is concerned, there was no message. There was no message, guys. I know. Some people will find that as a shock. Like, oh my God, there's no message. There was no message. In this particular service, the worship was going and the women were leading. The worship team was leading and they were giving scriptures. And when Corey got up there, he said something in particular. He said, I don't think we're going to have a message today. He said, I did have a message, but this church is responding differently. And if a church responds differently, then I got to react to it. And basically, he just said, what I want in this particular service is for there to be prayer for those that need it. Those that have depression, those that have been dealing with a lot, those that have taken a financial loss, those who feel like it's the end, those who have had a hard week. And that's what I meant at the beginning when I said what I said in my intro. It's been a difficult time for Chicago. It's been difficult for this city, in particular because of the Kanika Jenkins incident. Mothers are worried about their daughters and their children, and even if you are the best parent in the world, you still in your mind are trying to make sure that you are doing the best that you can and that you're giving the love and that you're informing your child and that you're protecting your child. So it's been a tough week for mothers. It's been a tough week for teenagers who may feel overprotected by their parents, but also are going through their own things and their own difficulty and maybe have done drugs or have had problems with that or have had problems with acceptance and peer pressure. And so you can tell that the church was heavy. And you can tell that people were dealing with a lot. And instead of Corey doing his message, Corey responded to the needs of his congregation. And that is through prayer. And that is through worship. And that's what I meant when I said what I said during my intro. Number 4 is the community involvement. Now, Corey's got something special going on. He will be launching Project Hood. Let me get that date for you correct. I know it's next Wednesday, but I want to make sure that I'm giving you the right date. So September 27th of this year, he will be launching Project Hood. This is a 501c3 that will respond to the needs of the community, particularly the youth. They will have women entrepreneurial empowerment courses to take there. They will have men's like fellowship and youth things to do. This summer they had their summer camp in which they let over 100 kids come throughout the summer and participate in certain events. So Corey is really excited about this. You can check out his Twitter and know that he is putting in groundwork to make Project Hood what it is today. I heard on the I saw on the website that actually Walgreens closed down and actually donated and gave the building to New Beginnings Church and Corey Brooks to start Project Hood. And so if you want information about that, I will leave that website for you guys, as well as the website to the church. Now, as far as critiquing goes, there's not much to critique actually, because the worship was very good. I think that anybody that goes there knows that their worship team, their worship leaders are amazing. They do a very good job, and they bring you into worship like no other. I enjoyed the worship. The welcome was good as well, except for those ushers, but that's just me. I don't necessarily like being told where to go sometimes, and so that's probably me being a little bit on the petty side. And so the welcome, I felt very welcomed at that church. Corey even said, Pastor Corey even said at the end, if you want to continue to worship, you continue to worship, because God is still flowing through here. God is still responding. If you still want prayer, it's still happening here. And so it's a great place to be welcome to. There was no message, so I don't have anything to say about that, but I think Corey does a very, very good job, a very, very good job at responding to the needs of his church. And I'm pretty sure next week he said he'll be back on What the Health, and he'll be dealing with health as it relates to your spirit, your mind, and your body. And so I do have a sheet in which he was going to get to, and you can write notes and stuff. And so he seems to be making sure he is in his word and preparing a good message for you. But if you know of any of some of his lessons that he gave, leave me a message below on how good of a messenger he is, how good of a speaker he is, because I really don't know. And their community involvement is amazing. That is the south side of Chicago. We all know any place that has the name Dr. Martin Luther King on it is a place that needs help. I heard a comedian say that before, and I thought it was funny because it's kind of true. Any place that has Dr. Martin Luther King Street or something like that most definitely is a place that is in need. And so I think that that church is responding to the needs of that community. And I'm excited about his lunch, and hopefully I'll be able to get in there and do some work myself. I loved this church. I love their worship. Their church is located at 6620 South King Drive in Chicago, Illinois. That is New Beginnings Church of Chicago, NBC, where the pastor is Corey Brooks. Guys, if you want me to address something that I have not addressed before, please let me know. Please let me know. Also, guys, if you want me to review a church, leave me a message. I'll check it out. I'll see what I can do. The last one that I got was amazing, which was NBC. And the last message that I got to go to, it was amazing. So if you have some churches that you want me to review, please leave me a message below. Also, if you have not gotten a chance to watch any of the episodes, they are on Facebook and YouTube for you to view as well. Leave some comments, leave some ideas, leave some opinions for me. I have no problem with responding to them. Also, if you are on my Facebook, on Thursdays at 7 p.m., me and my good friend Corey actually have a show called Who's Gospel, where we address some of the issues as it relates to the Christian community. And so if you have time to, on Thursday, 7 p.m. on my Facebook Live, check us out. We will be having some great topics, some heated discussions, and we want you to be there. So if you could, go ahead and do that. This is Old School Heart with Sitting in Your Pew, episode 6. Have a good day.